Alrighty, hello and good morning, Robert. How's it going?
Good morning, Charlie. Everything's going fine. How are you today?
I'm doing lovely. Thank you so much for asking, Robert. I'm excited to talk to you because you have an amazing resume and professional experience that I've seen here. So, if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about your professional experience.
I started recruiting in January of 2007. Um, I've probably recruited every position you could think of,
Mhm.
professional, engineering, scientific, IT. Um, done that for probably my first 7 years. Then after that, strictly a lot more IT and professional um, accounts. I've also have done a lot with recruiter development, training, mentoring, guiding recruiters. I had a team of 7 onshore, 7 offshore. I was also responsible for developing a training book that we have for the recruiters, as well as just having them shadow me and learning the ins and outs of recruiting.
Amazing to hear. And thank you for that amazing introduction to your professional experience. Now, really what stood out to me is going to be how you've been able to mentor recruiters under you. I believe you mentioned about 7 recruiters under you. What did that look like from the beginning as far as them starting on your team? How did that mentorship come to play?
Pretty much because I was successful in my role as a recruiter. So, in order to try to emulate what I've done, duplicate what I've done, I'll be responsible for the training process, bringing them on, telling them about recruiting, helping them with the Boolean searches, helping them with um, the updating of resumes, the posting of job positions, and then kind of walking them through the onboarding stages, interviewing stages, just the full cycle recruiting from beginning to end, and just letting them know that recruiting doesn't can't get it overnight. You have to put some time and put some work into it. Don't be disappointed. Don't get down. But if you do the work, that'll happen. Recruiting is more about the process that you do, more or less. The actual everyday details is great too, but it's all about the process. Don't worry about if you don't know the job description or something, but if you follow the process, the job description will follow behind it as well.
I completely agree with that. And you can tell that you're definitely an expert when it comes down to the recruitment field. I even seen your resume that you've been doing, recruitment since 2007, maybe even before, but that's what I see on your resume here.
hmm
Now I'm sure you've used a few ATS systems throughout your career. What are a few systems that you've utilized?
Most recently, Job Diva. But before that, use a little Bullhorn, some LinkedIn Pro,
Mhm.
LinkedIn Recruiter, and it was another one I can't remember right now. But just it was introduction more or less, but mostly Job Diva and Bullhorn.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I want to talk about full cycle recruitment. I see in your resume you have that full cycle experience. But when we think about full cycle, what does that mean to you and what does it look like for you?
Full cycle is everything from beginning to end. So before you get the position to the person walking, going on site. So that would be talking with the staff and specialists, making sure the job description is correct, making sure the rate is correct, making sure we have all the information we have before we source. Then after you source, it would be just pretty much you're searching, your resume updates, your resume submittals, making sure the candidate is prepped for interviews, and then following up with the hiring manager. If you don't get the position, kind of making sure that we have everything that the hiring manager wants. Is there any way we can pivot here? Anything to please the candidate, to satisfy the candidate so that we can get them the correct person.
Absolutely. Completely agree with that full cycle process there. Now, in your previous roles, were you handling a high volume of roles at a time, or was it more of that low volume recruitment?
No, definitely 3 to 4 positions daily.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so it was never one position, and you find the most is hit and go, hit and run. So I would get two to three positions for the day. Put as many, probably I maybe would try to get 1 to 2 resumes per position because we worked on the vendor management system. So it's rapid, and then lucky maybe we might get a fourth position for the day, but usually about 3 positions a day, so about 15 positions a week.
oh wow. That definitely is high volume there. And it seems like you were able to handle that with yourself and the team. So that's amazing in itself. Now, obviously you've done recruitment since 2007. What
Mhm.
is it about that particular role that keeps you in it?
I would say helping people. Obviously everybody goes to work for money, but if you help the people and help the candidates, you get a good satisfaction when you put somebody in their resume, you tweak it a little bit, you update it, they get the interview, they go all the way, and then, you know, 2 years later you see they're running the program, they're the project managers. So you get a little satisfaction like that's your baby that you help grow.
Yeah, absolutely. I find the same through when it comes down to that in this particular seat of mine. So wholeheartedly agree on that. Now, I want to know, Robert, because you've worked with some great companies and some great roles. If I were to connect with a previous employer of yours and I were to ask them, tell me a little bit about Robert's work ethic, how would they explain that?
They probably tell you I don't sleep. So yeah, because recruiting is when you're dealing with vendor management systems, and it's more than a 9 to 5.
Yeah,
You may put a position out there and you get an email response or a phone call 6:30 in the evening. You have to take that call at least briefly, and because if you wait till the next day, the other recruiting agency, we used to call him Ted. Ted would call him in the morning, get him before you, and now
that's
you
right.
lose out. So, you know, um, recruiting to me is not a 9 to 5. It's an ongoing thing. Sometimes even when I'm on vacation, I have to take that call or take that email because if not, it'll fall through. And you
Right.
should know as a recruiter, when you have that gap and things fall through, it's not as smooth as you want it to be. You want to be able to keep things flowing. You don't want to miss any opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, Robert, the man who doesn't sleep. There we go. All right. Well, that's incredible, Robert. Now we know you're looking for a new position. How soon are you looking to start a new role?
2 weeks from an offer.
About 2 weeks? Okay, perfect, perfect. Now, if my client were to come down and say, they want to go ahead and interview you this week, perhaps start you on Monday, is that something you'd be open to, or do you need those 2 full weeks?
Um, I can start as soon as possible. It just depends on the
Okay.
client. Obviously, if they're
Yeah.
flexible. Um,
Perfect, perfect. Well, that sounds amazing to me. And I only ask because that may be the case for one of my clients. They are looking for someone to really join their team right away after hosting
okay,
interviews, perhaps this week. So want
okay,
to put that on your radar there. But Robert, I want to just thank you for the time that we spent this morning. And I want to go ahead and just simply end the recording, but I want to ask you to stay on the line with me really quickly so we can chat.
no problem.
Thank you so much.